For joining us this evening for our special meeting. The special meeting is today, Monday, October 27th, 2025. I know we are running about 7 minutes behind, but thank you guys for your patience in that matter. Let it be known that all members of the council are present with the exception of Councilmember Espinoza, who is running a little behind and will be here shortly. With that, I'm going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is over on my right hand, your left hand. And then Jim Harmer will be leading us in the invocation. If you can come to the front, please. With that, salute and pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you could remain standing for a moment, please. And where Jim is at, there you are. Can I have you up here, please? Thank you.
Could I ask everybody to remove their hats, please, while we pray? If you would, please. Let's pray. Father, we just thank you right now in the name of Jesus. Father, we thank you, Lord God, for everybody that's here, Father. And we know that there's a lot on everybody's mind. But Father, tonight I just pray, Father, that you put your peace in this place, Father God, and just, Father, let you have your will, not what man wants, but what you want, Father God. Give us guidance. And Father God, let us have understanding, Father God, of everything that's going to be discussed tonight, Father. And we ask it in Jesus' name. And everyone said, amen.
Thank you. Bear with us a little bit on technology. Don't you love it? It always works the way you want it to work, and then it doesn't. With that said, we are going to move into our approval of agenda this evening, Council. I am asking if we can please move public comment to after our management report, so that way the folks who are still coming in, they have ample time to be able to review what's being discussed today and then have comment on it. I presume most of you are here for that. So if that's okay, I'm going to ask Council to approve agenda amended, moving public comment behind management report.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Prout, a second by Mayor Pro Tem Olvera. Roll call vote, please.
Mayor,
Yes, please.
we're also amending the speaker time.
You want to do that now?
Yeah.
Yeah, but then I will apologize to that. One more item, Council. We will be amending speaker time. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. We will give you guys a 30-second notice. And again, we want to make sure everyone is heard. We've got a lot of comment cards right now, and our goal is to not drag that out, but we do want to make sure you have ample time to have that comment in. And again, if you are looking to have a comment, we do ask you grab a comment card. It just helps us to organize things a little bit more because there's a lot going on tonight. They are in the back. So speakers limited to 3 minutes with a 30-second notice and a hard out at 3 minutes. City clerk will be managing the speaker time. With that, I am looking for a motion in a second for amended agenda, and I have Prout and Olvera. We okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Prout,
Yes.
Olvera,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Gibbons.
Yes.
Make sure you turn my mic on.
Okay, with that said, I am going to look to our folks over at High Speed Rail to lead us off. We're going to move into our management report item number 1, which is the presentation of proposed alternative build out by California High Speed Rail Authority to the Shafter City Council. You'll come here to the podium to start presentation. Bear with us as we're getting through some of the electronics. You're hearing it already, so just battle through it and we'll make that work out, okay? I'm handing the seat, sir.
Good to go.
Good.
Good afternoon. Can everybody hear me okay? So we're glad to be here. My name is Bassem Muallim. I am the statewide regional director for High Speed Rail. Just as a note, we are really new people at this job. So I've been here 9 months. And we have a new CEO that was appointed here September 16th of 2024, and the entire staff is practically new staff. We currently have about maybe 2 to 3 vacancies left, but with that, we have filled the whole chart, the whole org chart, and we're moving forward with this project. So I just want to give you guys an update. I know that there is a lot of contention about this project, and there is people that are for the project. There are people that have been impacted that are against the project, and we completely understand that. What we're here to do is just to give you a little bit of a background on what we have been able to do in the past few months, okay, with this new leadership. We're looking at optimization in our program with High Speed Rail, and we actually met with the city a month ago. And then 2 weeks ago, we published a report that will go to the public. And then we said we will come back again, which we're doing tonight, to meet with you and to hear your concerns and to update you on this program. So on September 19th, just about a month ago, we were given a really new lease on life, so to speak. So on September 19th, the California legislature basically voted to extend what we call cap and trade, which now they call it cap and invest, which actually sunsets in 2030, in 5 years. And they have voted unanimously, pretty much unanimously, to extend it to 2045. So that gives us now a new bill, $20 billion that we can use to advance this project, which is really, really great news for us. Current alignment right now, the current alignment is 119 miles in the Central Valley. So we have CP1, then we have CP2-3, and we have CP4. We have 3 segments. CP4 is pretty much done, it's completed. CP2-3 and CP1, I'm here to report that we're really pushing hard to have that completed by December of next year, 2026. We're working very, very closely with both contractors, with the design builders, and we're trying to work out all the details that are needed for us to get to that point. And I'll tell you in a little bit why this is really important. We have some good news to update you with. With getting that additional funding, now we are in a position to go and leverage that money and leverage our work to go what we call P3, public-private partnership. So we want to bring in the people that are interested in working with us in various capacities, whether we're going to be putting clean energy, such as solar farms or whatever technologies that may come, that they will be willing to invest in to help this program. This is actually going to now go to our board in November to get the blessing to do public-private partnership. Our CEO, he's actually done this in probably 30, 35 countries where he's built rail. He's very, very knowledgeable. He's very ambitious, and he has a vision. And with that vision, what he is looking to do ultimately, so we have the 119 miles that I just introduced earlier. We have another 50 some miles. We call it M2M, Madeira to Merced. And then we have the LGA, locally generated alternative. That's about, I would say, 50, 53 miles. That's going to extend this alignment now to 171 miles. And bear that number because I'm going to show you why that's important. Our achievement so far, even though that there has been a lot of skepticism that this is being really, really slow, if you were to look at it, and I come from Southern California, I'm from the Riverside, San Bernardino area, the sentiment was not very, very strong on this project. Saying, some even called it the train to nowhere. What's going on? We don't see even any rail. What's going on with you guys? So that's the sentiment that's out there. Currently, right now, as I'm speaking to you, 70 miles of guideway has been built. That's substantial, 70 miles. 60 completed structures, and by next year, another 29 structures will be built. If you drive the alignment, you're gonna see there's quite a bit of work there. Some of it has not been probably reported. Maybe there should be a drone that can show the people, the naysayers, that there is really something going on here. Maybe not as fast as it should have been done. Maybe I'll give you that, okay? But one of the great things that we're doing, which you'll be very excited to hear, and actually this was given to me, Bassem, to manage. It's called the Railhead. It's about what, 5 miles from here in Wasco, Daniel? It's about 5 miles north of here, and it is a railhead. And this is gonna be now what we call a game changer. How? So we are going to be laying rail tracks, ballast, OCS, ties. We're gonna start with CP1 and go all the way to CP4, I'm sorry, and go all the way north to CP1. And then we're gonna be finishing the northern and southern segment, which I told you about, M2M and LGA. We're gonna do the entire 171 miles of rail. That's a game changer. That has not happened in the last 15 years. And I'm actually in charge of that. And it is actually, we have partnered with BNSF. If you go to Wasco, you're gonna see there's 10 miles of tracks already built, storage tracks. And now you're gonna ask, what is a railhead? What does it do? We're trying to procure materials, which is rail, ballast, ties, OCS. We're trying to buy it ourselves so we don't have a middleman that's gonna charge us 10 to 15% surcharge. We will do it. We will buy it as needed, and then we will install it. That's quite a bit of an accomplishment. And that shows you where this new vision of our new CEO. So what his vision is, and I don't want to take too much time here, but his vision is we need to do something a little bit different than what was done before. We want to go smarter, faster, and cheaper. And that's really also going to be adopted in the way we do business every day. When we conduct a meeting, you don't need to have 20, 30 people with 20 different opinions. Put the right people in the meeting so you can have an effective, efficient meeting. Now I'm in charge of all the right-of-way and third parties. So now I'm looking at all the excess land that we, high-speed rail, which is really actually your money, it's taxpayers' money, it's your money. I'm looking at it to see, okay, well, we took this home here, right? And the general rent or the payment in that rent is, let's say, 2,000, and let's say we're renting it for 700. That's not right. That's not efficient. So we're looking at all our properties to make sure that we are doing the right thing for the people of California. So last thing, I just want to talk about what we talked about earlier, which is called Track and System Construction Contract, TSCC. That is going to our board. That's going to our board next month, November 20th. And you're going to see this contract taking place in 2026. You're going to see physically rail being put on the ground, on the guideways. So with that, we came here with a proposal. I have my team here, HNTB. They're going to present you what alternative designs we have, optimization, where we're still going to enhance safety. You're going to hear about a big wall that's going to be in Shafter that's going to divide the city that we're not going to do, which will be a positive thing. We are not going to do anything until we communicate with the city, with the board, okay, and get your feedback. ultimately, this is your city. You're the ones that are impacted. Our role is to partner and work effectively with you to address your concerns. Thank you, Diana.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and council, mayor, thank you for allowing us to be here to present. So my name's Diana Gomez, and I work for HNTB. So the company that has been contracted by the authority to design from, in a sense, where we stopped just right outside of Wasco through the city of Bakersfield. And so what I want to do is just talk a little bit about, so we had an agreement with the city of Shafter, a settlement agreement after the environmental document was released. The city sued High Speed Rail, and we came up with an agreement, a settlement agreement. So we want to talk about that, some of the changes that we want to propose. So in the Shafter settlement agreement, there were 3 exhibits in a sense. One where we had high-speed rail elevated on a retained field. And then we had approved the exhibit 2, which was add grades at BNSF, which was an option that nobody preferred because we would still have add grade crossings within the BNSF. And then the 3rd exhibit was the option for the grade separation at Riverside. And so as Bassam mentioned, we have been doing significant amount of construction to the north here. And so as we've come through the city of Fresno, city of Wasco, through Kings County, Madera County, there has been a lot of lessons learned. And so as we're moving forward into these other areas, we're really trying to figure out how we can minimize the construction. I know for the city of Fresno, it's been, a long time that things have been under construction within the city. And so what we want to try to do is what we want to propose is that we look at possible ways to minimize how we would come through the city of Shafter, minimize that construction time and minimize the impacts. So in the agreement, what it had was it had the BNSF and high-speed rail on this retained field. What that would mean is that we would have almost 35 feet tall walls going through the city of Shafter. And in this case, not only will we have these retained walls, but as we mentioned, what we've been seeing to the north is we would have over 2.5 million cubic yards of fill to be brought into the city, which would equate to almost 170,000 dump trucks load of dirt. So that would equate to about 16 trucks almost every hour, 5 days a week, 10 hours for almost, 4 to 5 years as we're trying to build this wall. Ultimately, as Bassam mentioned, the wall itself would be dividing up the city. So this, as we've seen the complexities of construction in other areas, this, with Ian, he asked us to look at some alternatives. How could we minimize that? What is it that we could do? But at the same time, still achieve the goals that the city wanted to achieve, which was create some grade separations, so we don't end up, you don't end up having to continue to stop for the train when the BNSF goes through. So one of the other items that was in the settlement agreement was Golds Avenue, Cherry Avenue, Los Angeles Street improvements. So improvements included traffic signals on Lerdo Highway, street improvements on Gold, and improvements on Cherry and Los Angeles. What we're proposing is that we intend to build what was in the settlement agreement on these improvements, because we did understand as things were happening and both the trains were coming through, we still needed to mitigate some of those improvements. So those would still move forward. So I kind of wanted to just give you a project timeline, how all, so it was back in 2018 when the agreement was executed. We proceeded with the LGA environmental document. And then in March of 2023, we started looking at how we could optimize some of those alignments. And then where we're at today is we've been looking at how we can continue to move this project forward in a way that doesn't, impact the city specifically during construction. And so here we are today, coming to the council, asking for us to see if we can continue to work forward and minimize. So one of the things that I want to mention is that, as we look at we are going to show some alternatives that we did come up with. Again, these are just some concepts that we came up with. But we want to continue to work with the city to what makes sense. But I think the one key thing is how can we reduce the construction time? And we're thinking that we could possibly reduce it by almost 2 years by not building, the wall on the retained fill. So some of the benefits that we think is that we would be removing this embankment and retaining walls. You wouldn't have that visual impact through the community. But the key thing, though, is that we're still proposing grade separations at several locations, and we'll show you as outlined in the settlement agreement, but that really improves safety. And so that's the key thing here, is that we're still going to improve safety by building some at-grade crossings. It reduces the construction timeline almost by 2 years. The key thing is that we would not be impacting operations of the BNSF. And that's been one of the big lessons learned in us working to the north, dealing with BNSF and the UP, is when we don't have to impact their operations, it just makes things go a lot faster. It'll allow us, as we reduce construction time, reduce the impacts during construction, the environmental benefits, again, the air quality would be improved. After we're done with construction, we would have improved traffic flow and circulation because you would have at some of your main arterials where you don't have to stop for the BNSF. And that will improve emergency vehicle response time. I know that when the BNSF is flowing through the city, emergency vehicles cannot get from one side to the other. And then the other thing is, we want to help strengthen some long-term community resilience. And we do understand, I do applaud what the city has done and your growth. And we want to be able to continue to help you get, stronger with what we're proposing. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our Director of Engineering and our engineering teams. And we want to run through some of what we're proposing in lieu of the retained fill. So we'll have our Director of Engineering, Sunsik.
Thank you, Diane. Good afternoon, Mayor and council members and the city of Shafter. As Diana and Bassam mentioned, we came here last month to present new alternative, which we believe benefit the program, the city, and the community. So we have done a lot of studies last 1 year under the new CEO's direction and the guidance. And we have looked at several options, not only for this city of Shafter alignment, but also other segments of the program. And we have come up with the solutions which will meet the city's expectation and the program need. So the team have gone through in-depth study, how to benefit the city, how to minimize impact to the communities and business in the city of Shafter. And this is just the start of the project. And I believe our team will work with the city of Shafter closely to come up with the best solutions. And we move forward very fast because we are committed to complete the project by a certain date. And I believe many of you guys saw news or read the project update report from the High-Speed Rail Authority. So I introduce our team members to start or to present the alternative options we have looked at. And I believe this is the options we can discuss and move forward to build the high-speed rail through the city of Shafter.
Thank you, Sansik. Good afternoon, Mayor. Good afternoon, council members. Good afternoon, City of Shafter public. I'm going to be going through the alternatives today, or you can say the refinements. We have two, or in some locations, we have two or one options. I'm going to be going through and showing you the differences. On this one on the screen right now, this is Fresno Avenue. On the left-hand side, you can see that this was what was basically being called out in the settlement agreement. It's basically a wide right-of-way on the left-hand side. It's BNSF on the right-hand side is HSR. So we talked about earlier was not only does this structure or this wall being raised, but it continues around about 6 miles. Now everybody knows we don't want to be seeing a structure like this dividing a community. Visually, it's going to be impactful. It's also basically showing how it's going to be dividing a community. And also, we talked about earlier, what Diana mentioned was adding on 2 years of construction. That's a lot. With this configuration, not only does it phase the construction sequence, it's a longer sequence, it adds in more dirt and adds in more construction time. And not only that, but it basically brings in more noise, more pollution, basically more impactful to the community. Just bear that in mind. This is basically what we've shown on the left-hand side with all the other options, all the other refinements we're going to be showing here. And on the right-hand side is basically our grade separation. This is for Fresno Avenue. This is basically an aerial view. So what we did was we went out there and we basically flew a drone out here. So the images you see inside behind there are basically a drone. We wanted to see what actually this is going to look like in the community. So what we did was we did some design refinements and looked at what this is going to be rendered. So what you're seeing on the screen right there is actually a alternative, a push forward that looks like similar to, if anybody remembers Merced, which is around about 5 miles from here, very similar to Merced. It improves the circulation. Not only does it improve the circulation, we're not impacting with the wall. And also it's basically giving you grade separation alternative without impacting the existing Fresno crossing through here as well. We're going to move on to a couple of alternatives for the Shafter Avenue. On the left-hand side, again, we took a street view. We took a camera to the street view going down north of SR43, sorry, south of SR43. So if you go down looking south of SR43, this is what you're going to see on the left-hand side. You're going to see a 35-foot high wall. And the 30-foot high wall is basically going to be, you're going to be looking at where to get entrance, basically where we're going to be improving the striping, the 10 lanes, and with the right-hand side, we've got this grade separation option. You can see inside here, you can see both BNSF and HSR. The one thing I didn't mention inside here was BNSF with the current crossings, there is some safety concerns. We heard the community, we've heard the documentation, we've seen the accidents that have been reported, people going through the grade crossings. With this alternative to the right-hand side, not only does it improve safety, but increases the circulation. Increases circulation all the way through. So with SR43 looking southeast, we have also looked at what sort of projects we will be looking at to improve past this grade separation. So what we're doing is we're widening the Shafter Avenue from 2 lanes to 4 lanes. We're eliminating a skewed crossing. As everybody knows, a skewed crossing would be very difficult. Not only would it require some mitigation improvements, but also require some circulation improvements as well as impact in other areas as well. So including the crossing by eliminating that Shafter skewed crossing and has direct access on SR43. Here's another view. Again, this one now, you're looking directly to the north from Shafter Avenue. So what would this look like from Shafter Avenue? So from Shafter Avenue, if the wall was there, you're gonna see BNSF trains right there in the corner. You can just about make out where the BNSF trains are. Now, the BNSF trains are still gonna be making noise. Remember, some of these trains, I want to remember is, they do park on these structures. These locations, we've seen trains parked in these locations where the sidings are. Some of these trains have tankers on there. So we have performed a hazard analysis. We've performed a hazard analysis to look at what actually would be standing there. Could be all tankers. And at this location, with the option on the right-hand side, you can see what a grade separation would look like. The grade separation improvement not only will improve the circulation, the view, but would also basically give you access directly onto the south side versus the north side of the community.
Can I stop you real quick? I apologize. I just want to make sure, for clarity's sake, can we go back to the Fresno extension? Just a few questions on our end. And Johnny, I know it's ringing, so bear with us for a second, because, yeah. So on the Fresno extension, I'm looking at the grade separation variation, and the initial view that we saw, we didn't see this. So this is slightly new for us once again. If I am trying to get on the west side of Highway 43, on your grade separation, that'll be on the left-hand side, there is a new park that has been created there, and we have an entire community there. How am I to get to the west side of Fresno from Highway 43 going north? I don't see that.
Very, very good question. We do have a connection showing there. It's not shown on the screen. We do have an isometric view we can basically show on a separate slide. We do have slides right there and that show that view. So it does show a connection on that side that shows connection coming down. If you're talking about the west side, we do have a connection coming right at the west side.
So the isometric view that we received has a connection just due north on Metler Avenue to a road that dies. It actually doesn't exist. It goes to nowhere. And then it comes back up onto Fresno that allows us to go east and west, but I don't see anywhere going north on Highway 43 that I can make a connection point to Fresno. And so I'm just curious I'm curious on how you're planning on doing that.
So we have, maybe Adam, you can speak to that one. We do have a connection that you'd have to come around and make that connection on SR 43, and Adam maybe can talk about that connection.
Yeah, so as you're going over the bridge heading west, right? So to the left over the bridge, right at the edge of the screen, there's a connection to the existing road.
Correct. So that is on the east side of Fresno, right? You're looking at the right side?
Yes.
You
No,
are
I'm saying on the left,
Left.
on the left side.
on the left side of the screen of that one.
Correct, yes. It may not show up in the picture, but it is right there. It's just a short connection that connects to that existing Fresno Ave.
Yeah, you'll have to show us a little bit better
Yeah,
because I
I'll
don't
show
see
you.
that at all.
Agreed.
You still end up with the situation that you're cutting off part of the community to make that happen. I just want to make sure I get some clarity on that, if we can, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, for the question. So we're going to move on to the second alternative. So we mentioned before, we do have two alternatives for each location. Most of the locations have two alternatives. This alternative is slightly different than one we showed before. This one has a wider impact area but compared to S1. The wider impact area is basically this one takes out Shafter Avenue, whereas the previous one basically makes provision for leaving Shafter Avenue for longer and basically constructing the Shafter Avenue proposed grade separation on the right-hand side in lieu of having any work done in the existing condition. So what does it do is basically the same as the previous one. It allows for 2 to 4 lanes, enhances safety for the school, reducing traffic and speeds, removing through movements from the east side of Shafter. And also basically we talked about before, eliminates based on from the left-hand crossing that the wall was showing, eliminates the skewed crossing at Shafter Avenue to SR 43. This is another view looking on how this, on the left-hand side, you can see on the green, that's the embankment configuration. So that's what it would look like basically from a drone as that elevation. And then on the right-hand side is basically what the grade separation would look like with an overpass looking southwest. Moving on to Central Avenue. Central Avenue, same kind of drone configuration on the left-hand side with the wall. The one thing I was going to mention inside of here was this does actually bring some constraints on access for BNSF and HSR. So the one on the left-hand side does bring in situations where we'd have to kind of make sure we configure the access and maintenance access for anything on that HSR line and BNSF line. Normally, BNSF likes to have an option to have a dedicated maintenance access close to the road, and this would have to be controlled, and the controlled access would have to be make sure we have a lock and key mechanism, so we only can get safety personnel or control personnel access this right away. And on the right-hand side, you can see there's another option inside here with Central. With the Central, this is another underpass alternative. The old underpass alternative would go down and under HSR and BNSF. This improvement basically not doesn't improve the access, but also looks at pedestrian improvement along the Central underpass. So you're replacing the street parking. So on the right-hand side, there is basically a parking structure that you can see. So to make provision for the parking at Central, we would be providing a parking structure with a new parking structure to have access for any patrons wanting to access that road access and any businesses along the corridor. This does improve the experience from the city side of things, the vehicle access, pedestrian access either side as well. And another view looking down Central Avenue. On the left-hand side would be the current configuration, which would be the wall. And then on the right-hand side would be the underpass. Looking directly, you can see we've got pedestrian access on either side, going underneath Central, underneath BNSF and HSR. No.
Hold on.
Well,
I'm going to ask public for a moment. Just bear with us for a moment to go through the presentation. There was a question by Councilmember Espinoza about businesses being impacted. We will hit to that one. I'm just making sure you guys got that for the record. I promise we'll get to the public comment here shortly. Thank you.
Thank you. So the other alternative here is we're showing two alternatives. One was the underpass that we showed before, again on Central, underpass going underneath HSR and BNSF. With this alternative on the right-hand side, this is a footbridge. So this what we did on this alternative would be closing Central and using a pedestrian footbridge to gain access either side. So you basically improve the pedestrian by removing the vehicle traffic and encouraging walking downtown, creating more vibrant business atmosphere directly with the pedestrian access or pedestrian footbridge along this corridor, including striping, wayside signage, and improvements for any kind of safety on the BNSF crossing as well. I'm going to move on to Lerdo. Lerdo, again, on the left-hand side, we're showing the wall, looking SR43 northwest. And on the right-hand side, it shows you kind of the underpass configuration. So basically, you can see here the wall, what the wall configuration would look like with a retained fill. And then we have Lerdo Alternative 1. On the right-hand side, what grade separation looking down southeast of SR43. So eliminating the skewed crossing, improves the intersection of space between Manel and gives you direct access but to SR43 and provides you a improved trucking turning movements opportunity by doing this alternative. And just showing you another view, a drone view looking on the left-hand side what the wall would look like, and on the right-hand side what grade separation overpass would look like. Again, variation, and you can see the direct access at Manel Avenue right on the right there. The second option for Lerdo Avenue, we're showing again comparison. On the left-hand side is a wall. The wall alternative, again, at this location, you can see BNSF. There is going to be some noise in the left-hand side because the BNSF is quite high. We didn't mention that because BNSF does use horns. even with the implementation of quiet zone, it would still be basically implemented through here. So on the right-hand side, we have the grade separation alternative, the overpass on SR 43 looking southeast. And that basically would provide an opportunity to expand the intersection and include mitigation improvements with direct access to Manel and SR 43. And then the second option for Lerdo, again, similar to the previous one, this one has, again, an overpass, but the difference between this one to the previous one is the impact area. You're basically impacting more of the businesses with this option versus the previous alternative. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Basim to close out. I have gone through all the alternatives. These are a few of the alternatives we've been selecting or basically providing. And I'll let Basim to close out the what we're expecting.
Well, Mayor, Council, staff, thank you for the opportunity. So the authority is seeking approval to move forward with the proposed grade separation. City staff to work with authority staff to prepare preliminary engineering plans, and authority to work with the city staff to amend the settlement agreement. Now, I've noticed one of the audience, there's a question about also how does it impact the businesses? So we would, that's probably a very legitimate question. So we'd like to work with you and your staff to make sure we also address all the impacts to the community. With that, I want to thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that. At this time, I am going to, you guys are good? Yes, just want to make sure. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and allow us to move into the public comment. I know many of you are here for public comment. I'm going to say a few things first before we get that portion of it started. I know many of you, you have emotions through this. I understand that. Please refrain from high-end emotions. Please be respectful in your conversations. Once again, public comment will be for any person wishing to address the council on any subject matter jurisdiction under the council or specifically on this topic. We do ask that speakers come to the podium. We will help you through this process on turning mics on and off. Your name will be called by our city clerk, so wait to hear your name. And then she'll also call on deck for all those who are Dodger fans. They play shortly. So she will call who's up and who's on deck. You come around this backside here behind the city clerk and be ready to go up here. We much appreciate that. If additional time beyond the 3 minutes is needed due to translation, we do have translators here and we can assist with that. Just please let the city clerk know if you are in need of translation. Please also state your name and address for the record before making your presentation. Once again, it is a 3-minute cap on this. We will let you know when you have 30 seconds remaining and then let you know when your 3 minutes is up. Everyone okay? Oh, by the way, we are going to try our best to categorize this. We know there's so many of you out here, and so we've tried our best to categorize if we know you're a business. I know you guys are going to want to hear who the business owners are because you guys are trying to work with that. So we're doing our best to go through this. We have business owners who are here who want to talk. We've got schools and our nonprofits who are wanting to talk, and we also have residents who are wanting to say something. So we're trying to categorize the best we can. If we mess up, we're human. I apologize, but we're doing the best we can. City Clerk?
Yes, can I please have Rick Judge and Julie Kirschman on deck, please?
First and foremost, thank you, Mayor Gibbons and council, for letting me speak today, and to the whole community. I'm Rick Judge, owner of Countryside Construction and Development. We own and operate multiple businesses here in the city of Shafter, and we've been developing in Shafter since the 90s. We have worked hard for this community. We have brought this community Taco Bell, Starbucks, Subway, Shell gas stations, Countryside Car Wash. And we are actually directly impacted as we have just built, spent close to almost $15 million developing almost a whole block of 43 in Lerdo with the new car wash, a new Starbucks, and we were planning to bring in a brand new Me and Ed's Pizza with bar and setup, but I don't know if it's gonna happen anymore with this new development. So I'm here to speak on the fact that I first want to say, this communication is very important. And I know high-speed rail is a train that is very hard to stop. But with that being said, it's one thing I would say as a developer that's been doing this for almost 30 years, development is important and we want to be safe, we want to grow correctly. But the thing that gets missed a lot by our state agencies is the impact to the community, impact to businesses. And you guys look a lot at how things are developed, how a lot of things might function, might travel correctly. But we do miss is how does that impact the local community? Shafter is not as large a city as Bakersfield. When you take something through Central Avenue and Laredo Highway and remove businesses like myself that spend a lot of money to bring this type of business to this community, you're not only gutting the businesses, it's jobs, it's income coming to the city. It's people that shop there, eat there. You're creating an environment for this community. And Shafter, as it is growing, it is not a city that grows exponentially in the retail side, in the community side of bringing services here. And to bring national brands here is not easy to do. And we've worked hard to do that. My goal is that if we are doing this, which I know it has been happening all throughout California, is you need to work with the city here, work with the local community here, find out how to do this correctly without impacting business. Because if we gut the city of Shafter, you're not only going to lose business that are here, but how to drive people to come here, people to come shop here, people to invest in this community. And without that, the city dies. So with that, I know I'm out of time. I just want to say thank you to the council. Thank you to the community. And I hope you take what we're saying here today very seriously, and hope we can make some adjustments to make sure this city stays safe and we grow well. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Julie Kirschman with Cameron Hunter on deck.
I tried to yield my time to my son who owns a business downtown. They refused. This is a community that started 1919 for you all high-speed rail people. We have farmed here. We have grown your food here. You don't care. You don't care about our community because you are decimating it. Look what you're doing. There's no solution like those I've seen to help our community. We have a beautiful Shafter High down Central Valley. Central, right there, Shafter High. Go to the football game this Friday, sir. Figure out what these small communities really mean. The Shafter Wasco football game is this Friday. You'll see 10,000 people there. But if you cut it off right down Central Avenue drives right into Shafter High. Oh, that's not going to be anymore because you guys are cutting it in half. That's a great idea to ruin our historic little town. What is the farming community? You've never spoke about that. We grow lots of food here. You haven't thought about that. You try to take out some almonds, poorly, I might say, because my house is on Fresno Avenue. You're going to decimate that too. I live in a 100-year-old house. You don't care about that either. You can't just destroy small communities along the way to get what Gavin Newsom wants. Okay? That's what this is about, what Gavin Newsom wants. Okay? And we're going from Bakersfield to Merced, really? What are you going to do from there? A plane ticket is only $161 from Bakersfield to San Francisco. My daughter-in-law just bought one. How many people do you think you could get there for? Let's see what it says, how much money. It's $200 million per mile. Now, I don't know
if I'm gonna do that math, but that's a lot of
30
people.
seconds.
Okay. Remember the community you're destroying. You haven't destroyed any other community along the way. You didn't decimate Wasco, you went on the side of it. Think about what you're doing to our community.
Thank you, Julie.
Can I have Stan Wilson on deck, please?
Honorable Mayor, City Council. My name is Cameron Hunter, 707 Acacia, for the record. I own a business, I am an employee, I worship, I own a home, and I father 4 future constituents, all in the city of Shafter. We have over 30 community members at our employ and are operating a business for the 4th generation that has been around for over 78 years. We are one of the top single revenue generators of sales tax for the city of Shafter. Every proposed route through Shafter severely disrupts our business operations, threatening our long-term viability in ways that are indecipherable and overlooked till now by high-speed rail. The physical alterations to our daily operations, combined with the unavoidable losses of visibility and customer access inherent in every option, leaves us with no choice. Our business must be relocated or it will collapse. The high-speed rail is directly responsible for this disruption and must bear the cost of that relocation. As a resident who relies on Central Avenue daily, I believe the underpass option is the least disruptive solution, providing sightlines across the community by preserving them, ensuring safer passage for hundreds of students walking to Shafter High, and enabling efficient travel between east and west. Even this plan, however, requires adjustments and full acknowledgement from the high-speed rail of its broader impacts, which you currently understate. High-speed rail project is not a distant concern. It's happening now. The high-speed rail is aggressively targeting individual properties, isolating owners with predatory negotiation tactics, and lacking good faith negotiation. They dismiss the broader community impacts and refuse to accept responsibility for our necessary relocation. Their radius of destruction is grossly understated. They dismiss the broader community impacts and refuse to accept responsibility. In March 2025, the high-speed rail and HTNB began refining plans without meaningful community input, claiming to know what is best for Shafter. How condescending to come here.
30 seconds.
Thank you. If I go over, we'll just consider it translating.
It doesn't work like that, Cameron. Thank you.
How condescending to come here and tell us about the productive discussions you have had without us, claiming to know what is best for our community. You don't determine what is best for Shafter. We do. The sooner you realize this
3
isn't
minutes.
just another small town you can roll through, the better. You will not carve up our town through the middle without acknowledging the full extent of its damage.
Thank you, Cameron.
Dan Wilson, and can I get Jeff Martin on deck?
The proposals that have been submitted today are just plain not acceptable. We have lived, many of us have lived in the community, myself, all my life. To see this community destroyed by overpasses and elimination of many businesses is not right. An agreement was made with high-speed rail for the field alignment through town. I think that high-speed rail is obligated to stay with the original agreement. Now, they have said that BNSF wants the wall outside their property line and they want to take more space. I think high-speed rail needs to negotiate a little harder. Keep that alignment where it was to begin with. I'm very concerned about the effect on the Shafter Depot Museum. It appears that it's not in one of the impacted areas for the expanded width that is required. I don't see how that's possible if they have to take more land on the next lot to it, why they can preserve the the Shafter Depot Museum. That means they don't have to take any of it. And they can not affect the businesses on that side of Highway 43. So I think the council has a real obligation for us, and it's a very difficult one. Probably the most trying situation that's ever come before the city council. And but we've got to hold ourselves against this plan. We got to hold firm. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. For clarity's sake, before Jeff comes up, may I ask the question if, Jeff, will you do me a favor and hit the little human on the micro? Thank you. Well, for clarity's sake, can I ask the question, is the train depot, which is a historic location, is that being affected by the South Shafter crossing? What looks like on the overpass, it's just hard to tell from the isometric views. It does look like there's a piece of it that is being affected. Do we know for certain if that is or is not? In your proposed renderings, specifically talking, then just push the little guy to talk. Yeah.
So none of our current proposals impact the building itself, but it will require some rearrangement of the equipment that is on the outside.
Okay, so some of the land in the area around it will be affected,
Right.
to answer your question, David. We hear you. We just wanted to get clarification on it. I don't hear you.
My question was, does it affect just the track that runs along the depot between that and the freight?
Yeah, currently the wall version, the Shafter Settlement Agreement version does impact that track. That's correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Thank you for clarifying. Appreciate that. Jeff, thank you for letting us talk for a second.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council. My name is Jeff Martin. I have a property in Wasco that I operate several businesses, and we were greatly affected by the high-speed rail. And I've shared what happened with us to many folks, and it really sounds like a horror story. A lot of people wouldn't believe it. I was talking to Cameron Hunter today, and it's the same thing that happened to us in Wasco is going to be the same thing that happens to you in Shafter. You're all victims. You just don't realize it yet of the high-speed rail. Everybody here, as the gentleman that first came up, he said he's only going to be here for a short time. And as you go through this process with the high-speed rail, no one's going to be here for more than a year, maybe a year and a half at max. So there's no accountability to anything throughout this entire process. And so when you do this, and I warn you, the city and everybody else, is what they promise, like all these things, oh, we're going to do this, we're not going to affect it. They're going to tell you everything you want to hear to make you say, yeah, that sounds okay, that'll work, and then once they start, they're going to do whatever they want. They're going to mow through wherever they want to go, and they're going to say, well, too late, sorry, we already have plans, we went through CEQA, or we went through the environmental, and that's the way it is. And you're left with a bag. For a business, for our property, they completely closed us off to where we had zero access to our property to operate our business. And this is during, tough times, during COVID times, and they would just close streets. We'd call the city. The city's out there trying to do what they can. Everybody points fingers. Everybody blames the previous people that were here. They go, oh, that guy, he did that. It wasn't us. It's not our fault, but we have to deal with it now. In the middle of the week, I had high-speed rail show up and say, we're putting a gas line through the middle of your property. You need to move all your stuff out of the way with hardly any warning. I just can't tell you, just nightmare after nightmare after nightmare. And the fact that you think you're going to get made whole by high-speed rail. You think that they're going to come in, they tell you, we're bringing in an appraiser, we're going to hire somebody from Texas, they're going to come all the way out here, they're going to spend $60,000 to appraise your property to tell you, you're not affected. You won't have any effect whatsoever. and you're gonna be fine, and they're not going to bother with you. And so you're gonna end up having to hire an attorney, spend tons of your own money, and it's horrible, even if you don't. Most of the business that were around us are gone. They're completely gone because their process of
30
coming
seconds.
forward and appraising your property and lowballing you and telling you, oh, you're not gonna get that much. It's really horrific. So all in that is just be careful and get everything in writing that you can, and everything they say that you think is right, they're not gonna follow it. They're gonna do whatever they want.
Thank you, Jeff, for the time.
Can I have Elliot Kirschman and Gabriel Jaime on deck?
Honorable Mayor and members of the Shafter City Council, we appreciate you opening our Veterans Hall to the reason why the Veterans Hall was built is to have community meetings like this to talk about our community. And the previous speakers, they framed this problem correctly. It's not the city council that we should look at. It's the folks that do not live in our community that we must hold accountable. Think about what's going to happen. When I was in high school, we drove our floats on Wasco Week down Central Avenue. Remember, from 5 Points to Shafter High. Not one of your proposals allow that to continue. Not one of them. Sorry if we get upset, we get angry. We want to be part of this process. However, the process moves quickly. You all don't live in Shafter. You're going to leave tonight and you're going to leave us with questions. We've heard testimony that when you make promises, you don't keep them. I currently am in negotiation with a high-speed rail to buy a property that I was fortunate to buy. What they told me was that my property is actually 4,000 square foot less than it actually is. I got an email this last week and they said, sorry, we don't believe you, sue us. That's what we have to do in our community. The only thing we can do is ask a judge to come to our aid. And so I asked the city of Shafter, do two things. Either make the high-speed rail do what they said in 2018 and build what they told us in 2018, or sue them and make it happen. That is the only thing that you understand. Because you may be listening to the community, but our voice is not strong enough. It takes the third branch of government to keep you accountable. And that's the only place we can go.
30 seconds.
You know, when CEQA was supposed to protect us from projects like this, and the government said that, you know what, in this project, we don't need CEQA. We're going to exempt this project from CEQA. Is that true or not true? That's true. And so the very laws that our great elected officials put in place to protect us have been taken out for this project. And now we are going to be left holding the bag. That's the bottom line.
3 minutes, please wrap up your comments.
And so I ask the city gratefully, please protect us from the wolves who are trying to ravage our community with overpasses, underpasses, broken businesses.
Thank you, Elliot.
I submit my comments for the record.
I'm Gabriel. I have a shop here in town. We've been here since 1999. I'm nervous. So we're getting evicted. So I actually spoke to what do they call him? The relocation specialist. So he told us from the time they signed when they buy the property from the owner, we have between 60 and 90 days to leave our property where we're at now. Shafter's a small town. It's not like I can go and move somewhere else. So now I'm gonna be out until I find something else. I don't wanna move to Bakersfield, Wasco. This is my community. We've been here forever.
And we're also near the Shafter Museum out here. We're neighbors. So I've also gotten contacted because we do have some property and High Speed Rail has contacted me. They've made me an offer, but I have to get another appraisal, which is gonna cost me money. And I have to pay it. And then supposedly I'll get reimbursed. Yeah. Well, I'm glad I came and I'm glad I'm able to say something and got your opinion about this. So we are gonna be impacted. Our Jaime Auto Repair, we've been here for a long time. A lot of people know us. So we're basically gonna be out as well. You don't care? It's our livelihood, so somebody needs to care, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you, Shafter, for caring. Do I still have time? How much do you make a year?
Hold on, please.
Oh.
Real
thank-
quick, for clarity's sake,
Or
you
the
guys are
name.
talking about two different properties, correct?
Yes.
I just want to make sure I'm clear on that.
Yeah, we're at the Sills. That's where our business is.
Yes.
And then we have another property that's gonna be impacted.
Correct. I just wanted to, for clarity's sake, that you guys are representing two businesses on that.
Right.
one. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Can I have Amanda Kirschman, please? For public comment? No? Mayor, did you want to go into the school?
Yes, no. Okay, go ahead, please. Thank you. Who's up?
Do we have anyone from the schools?
I am not sure. I do want to clarify, I apologize for the ringing of this guy here. I know there were a few of the schools who asked to participate today and have comment. I'm not sure if they are here to give public comment. Otherwise, I'm gonna move forward if you guys are not, and I'm taking that as a no. All right. Go ahead, Yasmina.
Yeah, okay.
From the
Okay, we
locals-
will move on with the
local
public
schools.
comment cards to keep it a bit
Local-
organized.
Local schools.
So I will start with Mark Salaba. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. And can I have Debbie Bell on deck?
Mark.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Shalaba, 324 Oak Street. Just in case many of you don't remember, the high-speed rail broke ground in 2015 after being voter approved in 2008. The estimated finish was 2020 with a projected cost of $33 billion. Well, here we are in 2025, 5 years behind schedule, and the cost has exploded to over $100 billion. For comparison, the United Nations just announced plans to rebuild the city of Gaza after 2 years of war at an estimated cost of $70 billion. So $70 billion to rebuild an entire war-torn city and over $100 billion for a California train. I don't know if it's an exaggeration to say this is the most colossal failure of a construction project in the history of the United States. And in all of your studies and in all of your research, I hope you looked at the effect on low-income minority students who walk from the other side of the train tracks to the high school, and they literally run across the BNSF railroad tracks because that's the fastest way for them to get to school. And it would be a shame if someone were to report to a civil rights group on how the high-speed rail is actually engaging in racism against low-income minority students by impeding them from getting to school on time. I'm speaking now to the Shafter City Council, please stand up for our city. Please do what you can. They want to bring this failed project through the center of our small town, putting numerous small businesses out of business, as you heard. And to that, we say no. Take your wasteful spending and your poorly run project out of our town because we don't want anything to do with it. You have already proven over and over, time and time again, that you cannot stay on budget and you cannot stay on time and you do not keep your word. So pardon us if we do not believe anything you have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Wow. Thank you for letting me speak. My name is Debbie Bell. My family has farmed in Shafter for over 80 years. We were off of East Los Angeles, right up against the railroad tracks. Our home place is there, had 47 acres there. My parents have passed. My brother and I were trying to sell the property. We had all kinds of problems in doing that because of the high-speed rail. They came in and said they wanted it, they didn't want it. And finally, they said they wanted 14 acres and we needed to carve out 14 acres. Lot line adjustment was required, which we did for thousands of dollars. And we just recently completed a sale on the rest of it, except for the 14 acres, with a company that works directly with you. They were our neighbors out there. And I'm not going to say anything about them because they were good neighbors. But anyway, we were lucky. And we were blessed that we were able to sell that. But we still have 14 acres that we were told you would negotiate with us. And if you don't want to and you don't have the money, tell us and let us sell the 14 acres. We're kind of done with this. And so please, if you have the money, do you have the money? It's time to negotiate with us. We're right down the road. We were told that you were going to make a turn on our property, and that was a big part of it. Well, we haven't heard anything for 3 years now. So we want to find out, nobody will buy the 14 acres because they know you want it. So we couldn't sell it to the company that probably would have bought it, the ones that bought the other acreage, because nobody wants to touch it. So either come to us and negotiate now or give it up and let us sell it. Thank you. And I can't believe the high-speed rail came back and bit us, 15 years later or whatever. So very disappointed in how and it's always a different person, always. You never talk to the same person. You never get the same phone number. You call the number, that number, it doesn't exist anymore. And it's just very frustrating. So please, either work with us, we're willing to work with you, or let us have our land back and let us sell it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bell.
We have Rachel Friesen and Ronald Pierce on deck, please.
Okay, so my name is Rachel Friesen and I'm fourth generation Shafterite. We've had our business here, we've been farming, I've gone to the schools here. Shafter is very much part of our lives. And the thing that I think about is one of my thoughts was during construction, I feel, I sympathize, I feel like I'm right along with a lot of you with them, what you've said. But if this is coming through, my question is, how will we endure construction? This is not just an inconvenience. It's going to be a hardship on the entire community. It's not just the businesses that are going to have to be bought out and relocated if they can relocate at all. Like someone said, we have the school kids crossing. It's not just the high school kids that walk, it's the junior high. So we got one school on one side of town and the other one on the other side of town. The grocery stores are on the west side, they're not on the east side of town, and our community is growing a lot. So I just ask that when we think about construction, that you please consider a plan that is very efficient, that does the least to impact our community, because it really is going to be difficult for us. And here we're growing as a town, and the last thing we want to do is kill our town. This is going right through the heart, and it's going to be really, really hard for us. So.
Thank you, Ms. Frisey.
My name is Ronald Pierce. I've lived here for almost 90 years. I've never seen anything so stupid in my life. The first time I heard about the high-speed rail, they were going to come through my property. I live close to the cemetery. I asked one of the engineers, I said, what are you going to do with the bodies that is in the cemetery? You going to put them deeper or move them someplace else? You know what the stupid high-speed engineer said? What cemetery? Why don't you take that high-speed rail where it stops right now, turn the son of a gun east, go to the Southern Pacific Railroad, connect with them, go to Bakersfield, and leave us alone.
Thank you, Mr. Pierce.
Can I have Martin Rodriguez and Jim Neufeld on deck, please?
Good evening, City Council, Shafter residents. My name is Martin Rodriguez. I'm the Chief Business Official for the Richland School District here in town. You know, we saw the pictures, we've seen the proposals. I don't think any consideration was done for our students here in town. I don't think any consideration was done for our bus routes for our kids here in town. You know, I see kids crossing the road from Fresno all the way down to, you know, even past AM, PM, crossing those tracks to get to school. And they're hustling. They're trying to get to school. And doing what you guys have in mind doesn't allow them to get to school. Our buses have very intrinsic routes and getting through town, picking up kids, door-to-door stops for some of our special needs students, and trying to get across some of those overcrossings or undercrossings or whatever crossings you're trying to put together is going to be a huge challenge for our small school district here in town. We're gonna have to add bus routes, which is additional buses, additional drivers, additional aides on the buses, more insurance, more fuel. I can go on about that, okay? We don't get funding for any of those additional costs because of what you guys have planned coming through our town. If you wanna ride one of our buses, come and ride one of our buses and see how intrinsic our bus routes go, what we have to do to get our kids to school on time. Again, please consider the school, please consider our students, please consider our transportation here in town to get the kids to and from school. Yes, there's lots of learning going on in the classroom, but to get our kids there, there's a way to get them there and there's a way to get them home. I don't think any of that was considered. Second thing, negotiations for property owners. We are a property owner that you guys are considering. We're a victim, been unfair bargaining, all of the stuff that's already been said. We have already experienced that in a very short period of time. Very unfair of what's going on to us as a school district where we currently own some property. And then third, the noise and the traffic, the construction. Once this high-speed rail is done, you guys are less than or at about 100 feet, one football field away from our elementary school. Did you guys consider that? And one of those pictures has the front of our school in that, where our kids are coming to learn, where our kids are coming to be in a safe place. I don't see that being a nice, safe place when we have a high-speed rail flying through several times a day and our construction for however long you guys think it's gonna take while that's going on. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin.
Jim Neufeld? And can I have Randy Taves on deck, please?
I had quite a bit of experience with the high-speed rail and negotiations because our farming was in Wasco, is in Wasco. And we negotiated, they gave us our, the proposal and so forth. We negotiated for the next 7 years. And with our attorneys and their attorneys, they had us outnumbered by 10-1, attorney-wise. But what I'm trying to say is, we looked at it, we weren't trying to make a career out of it. And it ended up that we got so far down the line that we thought, well, okay, they're running out of money. And they're gonna stop this thing right about the time they get to us. And so we started saying, okay, we're not gonna really do any serious negotiation from this standpoint. But they kept lingering on, and then they got into that time crunch. Anyway, when we settled that property, it was about 4 times what they had offered. And I'm just saying, it was a low ball. When the high-speed rails first started negotiating for property, they were way too low. And I'm gonna make, lots have been said tonight, and you have every reason to say that, and it's true, but the one other thing that I'd like to point out is, I've also been in China, and I've been on their high-speed rails. In fact, I was on the fastest one on Earth. And they can't afford to build that particular one on anymore because it even cost too much for the Chinese. But one of the things that I saw that I wonder through Shafter, because I have a feeling Shafter isn't going to be able to stop them. You're just going to have to stick to your guns as to the way
30 seconds.
you want it. What about the pylons? What's wrong with that? They got hundreds of miles in China on that, all your high speeds. I don't know why you couldn't put a freight train on it too. That's got to be cheaper than the way you just, the 2 alternatives you just said. So give that consideration if you're going to have to come through.
3 minutes.
They're clean. So.
Thank you, Mr. Newfield.
Good afternoon. I'm Randy Taves, resident of Shafter. Good afternoon, council and Chad Givens. I'd like to take a vote. How many of you here saw any option that you think is a good idea? There you go. 100%. And here's a parallel situation, and it will give you an option for your high-speed rail. I got my mom and dad's car. It was an old Mercedes, and it needed a lot of work. And I really wanted that car to work because my parents owned it. And I came to the conclusion that I couldn't afford it. So I sold that car for $300. What I did was I cut my losses. And I think that would be the best option for high-speed rail. The other option is why go through the middle of town? I'd like to ask you on high-speed rail, how many other cities are you going through the center of town and there is no stop? Can you answer that? You can't answer, or it's zero. You can't. Okay, you're in charge. Can you answer that? You can't answer that. It sounds like, I'm sorry? Yeah. And it's like the gentleman asking if we really did have a cemetery. So that's all I have.
Dennis Atkinson with Corey Corrales on deck.
Please make sure you do address council with your questions and comments. I realize I realize where the room is wanting to go with that. We do understand that, but from a position of just respect, address the council with your comments, please. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Dennis Atkinson. I live over on Mantle Avenue, and I want to commend everybody that's spoken. I think you're hitting the nail on the head, and I want to speak directly to the people making the presentation tonight. Substandard, so substandard. I've lived in this town my whole life. None of those pictures could I get oriented on where it was. And the mayor had a great question. Where's the off-ramp on Fresno? I think your best bet is to go out to the intermodal, dig a hole, and take it all the way to Merced underground so that the town remains sane. If you guys are professionals and you come to a meeting like this with no laser pointer and you can't get on, oh, it's on the left or the right of that. That's pitiful, just pitiful. I'm just so disappointed. Oh. You didn't come even with a laser pointer, so you know, you're saying left, right, up, down. I couldn't even tell where Epi's camp was. I couldn't tell where the Richland was. Oh, Richland was it's a parking structure or something. And you want to start the underpasses down at 5 Points so you can get under Shafter Avenue, cut off the school and everything. You're gonna have to build it up or dig a hole and put it in a hole. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Atkinson. Corey?
Honorable Mayor and City Council, thank you for the opportunity to speak today. Folks from High Speed Rail, thanks for coming to our town. It really is a great place to live and grow. My name's Corey Corrales. I don't think I need to lean down that much. I've lived in Shafter my whole life, except for a couple years when I went away to college. I'm a math teacher and I like data, and there's two types of data that we're looking at. You've heard the qualitative data. We love our town. Please fight for us. But there's some quantitative data, and there's not much. Mark, thanks for sharing those other statistics. But I was able to find an interactive map online, and I was able to look specifically at roads and the mapping that High Speed Rail has maneuvered through the valley. There are other small towns and communities like Hanford, Corcoran, and Colonel Allensworth. They were all bypassed. Why not us? There's another way to get across to that other railroad over by the 99, and you could have done it without ever coming through our town. Please consider helping us. Our town is on the map, but there should have been a better ethical way to get you guys from point A to point B, because if there was, this meeting would have never happened.
Thank you, Corey.
Can I have Layla Ortega and Ginger Richardson on deck?
Hello, sorry, this is my first meeting, so I'm a little nervous, but my name is Layla Ortega and I currently attend Shafter High School. I have enjoyed downtown so much. I live right across the street from here, and I enjoy our fun Fridays, and I enjoy being with the community. And they call this project the Great Separation. Let's call it what it is, segregation. You are separating our community, our lovely community, a community that you don't know. And I think it's really important that you hear the voices of children who are being affected. I am being affected. My family is being affected. I am the 5th generation from Shafter. My ancestors have built Shafter with their hands, sweat, tears, and right now they're probably rolling over in their graves. Please do not do this to us. We do not deserve this. We have a great community. We really do. And the fact that all of us are unanimous in this decision that we do not want this should show something. Do not build over us. Do not. Thank you.
Thank you, Lena. Linda?
Mayor and council members, hi. I'm actually from the Gossamer Grove community. However, I know someone who actually works for the high-speed railroad. And this person actually told me that the rail is not taking so long because of funding. It's because of the lawsuits. They sue everybody to get what they want. We need to get rid of these people. We need to get rid of them quickly. We don't need this through the town. I come from a small town here in Kern County, not from Shafter, but from another one. And seeing these pictures of the walls up, that is just devastating to me that they're wanting to do this to this community. I drive through this community. I've come into this community since I moved into Gossamer Grove. I'm falling in love with this community. You cannot allow them to tear this community apart. It's beautiful. The people are beautiful. Everything is beautiful about this community. They want to sue everyone. They want to destroy communities and they want to destroy towns. This cannot happen. This high-speed rail needs to go away. They need to find an alternate route and they need to leave this town alone.
Can I have Jenny Holterman and Gerard Loaiza on deck?
Thank you. I'm going to move this closer to you guys so you can really hear the voices of this community. I found a lot of things
Excuse me,
that I would like.
1 second, my apologies. Mayor has provided an admonition that the council or public comment needs to be addressed to council, not to them specifically. If you could, my apologies. If you could address your comments to council rather than the high-speed rail.
Well, they pointed out a number of things that I find interesting. One of you specifically said that this is the train to nowhere. So if you yourselves believe that this is the train to nowhere, who is really going to ride this train if it ever gets completed? You have a track from Merced to right now Shafter, and you're trying to get to Wasco or to Bakersfield. I don't foresee that being a profitable situation for you, but this is the state of California and we don't usually look at things very profitably. You mentioned that you are trying to do the right thing for the people of California. We are the community, the people who live here. We know the right thing. We know what is the right thing to do for our community, and it is keeping our businesses alive and keeping our livelihoods alive, because these are not just homes, these are not just businesses. This is our livelihood that you were talking about. Any one of these businesses that you are going to threaten to close, go and talk to them. They don't want your money. Nobody in this town wants your money. We want our community to stay intact. We want our community to be strong for us. You guys come here, you have these jobs that are only, you've been in your positions for 9 months. These are generations of decades of families that have lived here, and you are tearing our community apart. Now, please tell me how you do that, because I don't understand how you guys can have this job and actually think you are bettering the state of California. How are you doing the right thing for the people of California? I just don't see it. You said that you have learned a lot of lessons. Well, California residents, our community, our Central Valley, we are not an experiment for you to learn lessons off of. This is how we live. This is how we earn a livelihood and keep our communities strong. You said you are hoping to minimize construction. Well, you, in your effort of minimizing construction, you are tearing apart our communities and ruining our businesses and the families that live here. You want to enlarge your projects to 4 lanes. You consider this an upgrade, but how many more businesses are you going to take away by doing this? This expansion of now, $20 billion in this cap and trade, you consider that a success.
30 seconds.
But I want to remind you, we don't want your money. We want you to go away, go on the eastern side of our city and leave the heart of our community alone. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Mr. Loiza.
Council, thank you for the opportunity tonight to gather all of us to express our feelings and our thoughts regarding this project moving forward. And I do believe that God can take any situation, even a bad one, and bring out the good. And I want you all to know, I am proud to wear this hat. You all are the good. Out here, you guys are the good. You really are. I am proud to live in this community. And I just want to say that there was a comment made earlier about, we want to hear from you. This is your city. No, sir, this is our home. There is a difference. This is where we work. This is where we live. This is, yes, where we die. We have a cemetery out there. And I just want to thank you again for the opportunity to speak tonight. And I just want to say this. Liars figure and figures lie. And that's what's happened here, really. We've been lied to from the beginning. And I got a kick out of some of the things regarding construction. You know, they plan to be 2 years sooner. Wow. I mean, wow, they could have thought of that a few years back, I would think. But, and I know they're going to guarantee safety. They're going to guarantee the funds. They're going to guarantee everything. Ladies and gentlemen, there's nothing new here, just the same bad ideas. That's the real truth. That's all we have here. And so I think as a community, yeah, we need to stand together and we need to tell them, adios, bon voyage, see you later, okay? And the reality is they don't do this to the wealthy communities. They do this to the poor communities, to the kids that are kids of immigrants like myself. I'm telling you right now, they wouldn't dare do this in another type of city, but they think you're stupid. And they think you have nothing going on. What they don't realize is there's a lot of pride in this community, and we do have a good council, and we expect you to fight for us. And we want you to know we're going to be there to support you in that fight as well. People always ask me, why do you choose to live in Shafter? You know, I tell them it's my home. Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan.
Michelle McManus with Jack Colvard on deck, please.
Thank you. Thank you for having us here. We've been doing this fight and dance for 23 years. That's when we voted on this. Well, some of us voted on it. And then 10 years later, we had a settlement agreement. We expressed our goals at that time. We established what we felt were important and what we thought would minimize the impacts on our community. You, meaning High Speed Rail, have agreed to it. That's what an agreement's called. They agreed to this. That's why we had the Shafter settlement agreement. Now, 7 years later, you have decided that you will not honor this agreement. You have decided what our city goals are. You have decided how you will improve our traffic. You have decided what businesses will be removed. You have decided what our community will look like and how it will function. I respectfully ask you to go back to the Shafter settlement agreement we had with you for our community's goals to save our community. The agreement was not perfect, but it was made by the people in Shafter who understand how Shafter worked, how we work together, how our community flows. It was our agreement with you. Honor here is a big deal in our community. And if this is about saving time and money, I just frankly don't care. You guys, we've spent so much money on this project. What difference does it make now? I guess if what I care about is saving our community, and that's why we have our council here to speak for us, and we will be behind them to make this go the way it should go and to save our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Mr. Colvar?
Good afternoon, good evening, Mayor and City Council. As I was sitting here listening to everyone, I'm gonna keep this short for everyone because I know that y'all could get up here and talk. But some things that I brought out of this. First off, on the presentation, you said I want to start construction in a year. That tells me that many of the decisions are already made. I've been in public works construction for 45 years and I know how long it takes and I know how significant it requires. So that means we're doing all the drawings for everything we just talked about in a year, and we're going to put it out to bid in the public sector in that period of time. It's very difficult. So I think, but personally, my question is, are those decisions already made? We're just sitting here talking and it doesn't mean anything, is what my concern is. Two is this city has done a wonderful job over the last 20 years to get off of state funding and off of federal funding and living on sales tax that it generates in its own community. And the way that high-speed rail separates our community, what it does, for all you folks, it puts all those businesses in jeopardy. Rich and Chevrolet, Floyd's, it puts both of them in jeopardy of, yeah, they'll buy them out maybe, but will they be able to make that same tax structure? I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that can happen or not, but I know this. Probably they might be in some of the levels where we need them to be so that we can stay funded by sales tax in our community. So I ask you, does that mean anything to the high-speed rail? It doesn't appear to, because no one knows about it. This community, I've always been told that from the very beginning, when before the settlement agreement, that during the settlement agreement, that high-speed rail would leave this community in a better situation than it is now. I ask you this, the proposal you showed for what we had in the good faith effort, I didn't see anything that showed options of what we could see, what we could expect. You might have found out we didn't like it at all and your proposal might have been better, but no, they didn't do anything on what you didn't do anything on what, you just made it go through 25-foot walls. I didn't show any access, I didn't see anything anyway. So the question is I don't even know if the proposal that the city made at that time, trying to take the best solution out of that
30 seconds.
A good solution or not. However, it might have been easier to come in here and convince us that that was a bad decision and we might have went along with it, but that didn't happen. I didn't see anything that showed that we had done anything wrong in our community. We tried to maintain those businesses and tried to take care and support those businesses. They are really important in this community and our survival within this community. That's how we provide all of our protection, all of our fire, all of our kids and the things that they need in our community. It's significant
3 minutes.
to us.
Please wrap
So
up your comment.
don't walk away from here thinking that that's not important to us. And I ask you this before I walk off of this council, are you going to make up the sales tax that the city loses if in fact high-speed rail messes up this community? Because it'll have to figure out another way. And did anybody take that into account of what it will cost the community during this time frame while we're trying to figure this all out?
Thank you, Woody.
Nathan Armstrong and Daniel Trujillo on deck.
My name is Nathan Armstrong. Thank you for letting me speak. Born and raised in Shafter. Sorry, I'm a little nervous about public speaking, but things I wanted to say. So earlier this year in January, actually the beginning of this year, I started my own business. First time for me. small business, Shafter Motorcycle Shop. Shafter hadn't had a motorcycle shop in a lot of years, and I saw a need, and it's a passion of mine, so I wanted to do it. I got really lucky in finding a shop rental. It's actually right next door to Jaime's Automotive, directly affected by the high-speed rail. And so I got my business license and everything earlier this year, but I actually started getting everything ready last year. When the high-speed rail first came through, I was getting everything ready, the shop set up, and they came and told us that we were gonna lose the shop, we were gonna have to move out. And then they proceeded to tell me that I was SOL because I wasn't an established business. So me, first time getting my own business together, and I'm so excited in my hometown to have this going, just to get my dreams crushed by the high-speed rail, that for the life of me, I can't find anybody that actually wants this thing, not just in Shafter, but in general. And I can't hold you guys responsible directly. I mean, obviously you're new to the project too, but I just don't logically see how this makes sense in California. If the high-speed rail would have come through in the 60s or whenever, when all the other countries did high-speed rail, great. It would have made sense before all these towns were established, but it just doesn't make sense anymore. And for it to be directly affecting me, yes, I am emotional about it, but like I said, I just felt like I had something to say, and
30 seconds.
well, for the time being, there's a motorcycle shop in Shafter, guys, but who knows how long this is gonna last? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Nathan. Mr. Trujillo?
Thank you, council. Well, look, all I have to say here is I'm a Shafter resident, born and raised. And all I have to say is we don't want this rail. Well, there's no need for it. They could go out further east towards the 99 and they can go around this town. They don't have to go this way. Our high school mascot is the general. And just like our people, we're here to fight. And we won't back down. All I want is for our council to fight as hard as we will. We come from the generations of immigrants. My father marched with Julio Cesar Chavez. I don't care. I don't care if we have to be out there with hunger strikes. I don't care if we have to chain down. We're not letting you come through here. We're strong. We're few, but we're strong. We will fight here together. When I saw the image of that wall, the only thing that came to my mind was something I saw in my history books, and that was that Berlin Wall. And that wall was torn down. We're not letting you build that here. So you take your money and your thugs and get out of here. Thank you, council.
Thank you, Mr. Trujillo. That's all comments. Thank you very much. I do want to make sure I open that floor. If there was any other individual who would like to make a public comment, I see a hand in the back. You got a couple. While she's walking up, grab a paper in the back. So that way we have a name, and bring it up here to city clerk, please.
Sorry, I thought I was gonna have a moment to collect my thoughts, but here I am. Go ahead.
Since we don't have a card, can I know your name?
Are you serious? I'm the only one? Okay, well, this comes to my point though. So my name is Roya Eubanks. I am born and raised here in Shafter. Currently in Shafter, there are 4 generations of my family living here. I have chosen to live here, work here, go to church here. Mayor Givens knows my name. I introduced myself for the sake of technicality, but when I look around this room, I can easily say, I know about 80% of the people in here, whether it's from teaching, Shafter's junior miss, going to church, Shafter Family Theater, any number of things that I myself do in this community. I know 100% of the city council by name have their phone numbers in my phone. Do you live in a community like that, where you can be in a place and know almost everybody by name? Do you live in a community and raise your family in a community where you have relationships like that? The answer is probably not. So I didn't get a chance to collect my thoughts, and I certainly have more to say. We are a small but mighty town. Think about what you are doing. You are destroying lives, livelihoods, and the way of life for a community by trying to cut right through us. We are not numbers. You have the money to play with, to make different proposals that do not affect an entire community. Go back to your brainstorming and think about people and not numbers. Think about people and not rails. I don't think that you anticipated people being here like they are. The first gentleman spoke and kind of spoke like a salesman. We don't need you to sell us your high-speed rail. We don't want you to sell us your high-speed rail. I don't care about ballasts. I don't care about
30 seconds.
the money that you're saving on supplies. What I care about is being able to be at the high school where my grandmother lives across the street and we can see straight down. I care about a wall being there that's going to affect the beauty of this community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And again, if you submitted a card, you have them with you. I'm going to make this last call for public comment. So if you are interested in having the public comment, make sure your card is submitted. These will be the last ones as long as the card is in. Thank you very much.
Can I have Kenneth Kirschenman and Mel Richardson on deck?
There's one more to follow that. There's 5 to follow. Thank you. If you submitted a card, can I just have you guys stand up back behind City Clerk, please? It'll just be a lot easier this way.
Thank you, City Council, for letting us voice our opinion today. My lovely wife was one of the first ones that stood up here. And I kind of said, be quiet, don't say much. But you know my wife, so. So you're probably going to get to know her a lot better if this is all over. But I was one of the fortunate ones 20 years ago to go to your first meeting. And we sat at the Jackson and Perkins office on Kimberlina Avenue with some guys that there's been 20 people been in your job since that first meeting. And we all sat there because they asked all of us farmers to come in there and talk about where the high-speed rail should go. And I was a dumb 35-year-old young man at that point. And I said, go to Disneyland and get on the panoramic video of that helicopter, hire that helicopter that's at Disneyland and fly this state and take your panoramic video of where this high-speed rail can go. And the guy, they said, what are you talking about? I said, you don't know where you're going. The problem, the reason they didn't go on the east side of town, people, is because we have an oil well problem. It's out there. There's 100 oil wells. They couldn't afford to go through the oil wells. I don't know why you didn't make a turn at Kimberlina and go down to down Kimberlina to hit the Southern Pacific deal. Burlington Northern hates you guys for being here. You've made a mess of Burlington Northern because every day I drive over the overpass on Merced Avenue. I don't know what happened about a month ago, 6 months ago. All of a sudden construction started out there. And I don't think it's high-speed rail. I think it's Burlington has decided to make these spur lines out there. You guys ought to go for a ride and see what's going on out there. Burlington Northern is going to fix this town. You guys are going to screw it up because of back to the container system out there. Burlington Northern has got a plan, and people, we are happy for Burlington Northern. They come through our town every day, 20, 100 times a day. So what? The ambulance has got to wait 10 minutes. Big deal. Nobody's ever died from the ambulance coming through
30
town.
seconds.
That is not a problem. That is not a selling point. The ambulances can get across the road faster. That's not a selling point. Forget that one. Because it's been going on for 100 years. But you've got to get out there and you decide, you got to change your path. We're putting up a roadblock. We're not letting you come through our town, tear it apart. My family, there's people in this town that the streets are named after, and they don't stop at the railroad tracks to go cross.
3 minutes.
You know, so you gotta regroup. I know it's expensive. You guys have spent all kinds of
Thank you,
money.
Kenny.
We got a governor that doesn't know. The governor, you guys realize the governor was in the state of Shafter? Wait a minute. wait.
No, I'm sorry.
Mr.
I have to limit you on
Was
3
please
minutes.
wrap up
in
your
the
comment.
state of Shafter about 6 weeks ago and had a press conference under that
Yes.
bridge out there on Merced Avenue. Did anybody in Shafter know that the governor came to Shafter?
Kenny, thank you.
But
Your 3
anyway,
minutes, sir.
that-
Thank you.
The governor didn't even care to invite
Kenny,
staff
thank
to
you.
the meeting.
Thank you. Again, I understand you guys are animated. I respect that. I see that, but please keep us at the 3 minutes, please.
Mel Richardson, John, Dr. Hare, and Elena Espinoza on deck, please.
Mr. Mayor, Mrs. and Mr. Council, thank you for allowing me to speak. Friends, neighbors, there's a gentleman that was just up here and he talked about the Berlin Wall. President Ronald Reagan, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down these walls. They don't need to be built, folks. This community is great. All my life that I've been in Bakersfield and now a Shafter resident, these people are beautiful, full of love. And these people that you're representing, Gavin Newsom, why isn't he here tonight? He can't even speak. He always cuts everybody off. It hurts me that you're gonna try to tear up this land, all for the sake of something that goes to nowhere. So my question and your time, please really think about how you're going to address this because it needs to stop. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson. Next on deck is Dr. Hare.
Michael Hare, 6752 Iron Oak Drive in Bakersfield. I hadn't really intended to speak, but the emotions that these fellows have talked and women have talked today, I want to say a few words. One of the things that I think was spoken a little bit with one of the speakers, and I know Kathy Prout's always been very much involved with sales tax. And if what they're planning, for example, on Lerdo, the Arco AMPM will go, the Dollar General will go, and a couple of the restaurants will go there. Now, I will tell you that Dollar General, you think, well, it's a Dollar General. That Dollar General, I know, because we get statistics on it. That is the second largest volume store in the nation for Dollar General. That's a very good store. The Arco AM speaks for itself and so forth. So I think we need to think about the sales tax here that we're going to lose here. Sure, I'm going to have to sell some property to these people if that happens. And I've got engineers and attorneys and all that sort of thing that we'll go through that eventually. We've got those on staff and so forth. But I really want to commend all of you today that have spoken and the emotions and so on, because I was just going to come here and listen, but God bless all of you. And these people here, quite frankly, history tells you what they've done. They're over budget. They're telling us a story and they'll have another group down here. And when you start dealing with them, I've had this with Caltrans out in Barstow and so forth. You'll deal and deal and deal. And finally they'll wear you out. And that's really what it amounts to. I've had an opportunity to be in Shafter almost 60 some years. was on the planning commission here for about 12 years. I've made some friends and probably some people that might dislike me, but that's okay too. But I think you really need to keep this up on these people because they're not trustworthy and they've shown right as they've gone down here with their over budget and so on. But anyhow, thanks so much for all of you being here.
Thank you, Dr. Herron, much appreciated. And I believe our last comment is from Elena Espinoza.
Elena Espinoza and John Salmon.
Who's the last one?
John's the last one. He's after me.
John, last name John.
John Simon.
John Simone, thank you.
Hello, council. My name's Elena Espinoza. I live at 1190 Wyan Way. Everybody talks about the kids and the stuff. I work at seniors. And my little seniors at the convalescent hospital, I have 100 of them. That's one of the oldest convalescent hospitals that we have in Kern County. And mine are shut-ins. Mine don't go nowhere. They're forgotten people, really. A lot of them are. But they love to sit outside on our patio and they love to watch. And the kids walk by and they hear the train. Our facility where I'm at is right by Jaime, where Jaime was speaking earlier. And nobody seems to understand. We have one senior center home complex that these ladies go with the little cart and they're buying their groceries. They don't drive anymore. Their license have been taken away for one reason or another, and they're walking and they're enjoying our community, going up and down, meeting our residents and meeting people. We're taking that away from them. And my poor residents are not going to look at a wall all day. They might as well stay in their room. They can watch I Love Lucy. But that's why we have to stop this wall in our community. We are a small little town, and it's not about you guys. You guys are doing a job. I get it. But we're doing a job here. Our council's doing a job. We are here to fight for the ones that can't be heard. We are fighting for our community to stay the way it is. I thank you guys for your time. I thank council for their time. Continue to fight for us. We have you guys. Our back is with you guys. Just fight, fight, fight.
Thank you very much. John?
Hi, good evening. My name is Ziad Sam'an. I need to apologize for my English, maybe will not to be very clear, not 100%. I moved to Shafter like 3 years ago. I was in Santa Ynez and Solvang, Santa Barbara. I lost my business there throughout Corona time. I lost like maybe $2 million. I got diabetes, blood pressures. I am father for 2 smart boys. They looking to be dentists. Almost 20 years I working 16 hours in the day. I was broke and I moved to Shafter 3 years ago. I bought Amigos Liquor in Central Avenue. Gentleman show up 5 days ago, said, "Hey, John, do you know what is going to be to your store? They will close the street." Like for 3 minutes, I was going to have heart attack. And I said, no, let me start up again. Let me start looking for to move. Today, I was thinking I should be bring my 2 sons, 24, 23 years, because the English will be very strong. They will translate to me. But like 30 minutes ago, I find I'm okay. I'm smart. I can understand how these people very nice, how these people try to save the history. There is farmers, there is kids, there is teachers. I don't care if I will lose the business again. But I need to say thank you, guys. I love you. And now I am very happy. I find another culture in my life. I am from Syria. Maybe everybody knows Syria because they knows what is going there. For some reason, I moved to Dubai. I've been in Dubai for 11 years. Now 20 years in America. Syria government was okay or not okay, this is on the side, but they didn't damage people. Sheikh of Dubai, Mohammed bin Rashid, he tried to save the people there. He gave money to the people. He didn't came and damage business or houses. Guys,
30
take the
seconds.
train around. Save the history in this town. God bless you guys. Thank you for your time.
John, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And for all those who provided public comment today, thank you all very much for your time. We appreciate that. There was one comment that was received via email from David Mack. And just for clarification note, that'll be in the record. That was also in opposition for the modifications and changes to what we're seeing today. With that said, I know I'm going to give council a quick moment to collect their thoughts. And I know we have a vote for tonight. I want to do one thing. Kamal, where are you at, sir? Kamal, can I have you come up here and give a brief overview of economic impact that you've noted in regards to what this is? Maybe give you a minute or so, because I know you love economics, so you get a minute to go through this. I think it's wildly important to understand what the economic impact is to Shafter for what we're seeing here.
I may need more than a minute.
Table's yours, sir.
Honorable Mayor, council members, what I would like to share with you are some preliminary thoughts around the impact of this project on Shafter. I think the impact is extremely adversely impactful on the city, the people, and businesses. So what we need to do is have further deep dive analysis of the impact on the economy of the city in terms of lost revenues, lost businesses, and that takes some time. It requires work from economic development, working with engineering and planning to make sure that we address the order of magnitude of impact on the city. Having said that, my high-level comments, I'll have some comments and then I'm going to share with you some very, very preliminary numbers. So don't hold me to them because the actual number might be higher. The city, I think, in terms of, so we have connectivity issue and economic impact issue, and both are connected. The city would be divided east and west by a fenced rail zone. We lose multiple street crossings, leaving only few grade separations like Laredo Highway, Shafter Avenue, Central, and Poplar. What this means is longer detours for drivers, school buses, emergency vehicles, and residents who need to get across town, whether they want to shop, conduct business, or attend to their businesses. Traffic will concentrate on few remaining crossings, especially at Laredo Highway and Shafter. Those roads will carry nearly all of our east-west movement. For pedestrians and cyclists, it will even, school kids, and it will even be tougher. Fewer safe crossings means less walkability and more dependence on cars or for even short trips. The economic impact is considerable. Businesses located along SR 43 and the existing rail corridor will lose easy access and visibility. Some of those businesses will shutter completely and some will lose access, and therefore they will eventually potentially go out of business. Small businesses, small manufacturers, service shops, ag support firms would be cut off or forced to relocate during construction. This leads, and this is very important, this leads to loss of local jobs and tax-based revenue. The new businesses, and I'm not familiar with all businesses, but the new businesses on SR 43 like Starbucks, the car wash, those provide living wages. And there are in excess of 25, 30 employees that work there. And those people will end up losing their job and potentially family support, and you would know the rest of impact. We're seeing more business activity shift to Bakersfield or or other locations in Kern County. And that will have a hugely negative impact on the city. In terms of a broader economic development, Shafter long-term success depends on a well-connected that will be an advantage for the city to attract industry, logistics, and housing. And so if we don't plan carefully and understand the exact economic impact on the city, this could be devastating. And so we've done some back of the envelope calculations, and what we're talking about here is impact of upwards of, depending on what options they pursue, we could go up to 133 total parcels impacted. In terms of businesses that would be threatened, we're talking about, I'm giving you what we know potentially maximum numbers, 49 total businesses. We will lose annual revenues, the businesses, that would be over $1 million. And we don't know, we'll have to do a survey on that to understand what these businesses and how these businesses are doing. The annual city revenues, this is revenues that come to the city that finance, road improvements, all sorts of projects to serve the people of Shafter. We're talking about $1.2 million that would be lost completely. Now, what we have to take into consideration is a multiplier effect, and that is there are other businesses that rely on these businesses, and these businesses provide services to other businesses to sustain the profitability. And there we could be knocking to $2.5 million. And again, we need to have a much more detailed assessment of the economic impact. But what's also very important is that we've got jobs that would be lost, living wages will be affected. But what's also important is the future growth of the city. I joined the city of Shafter about 10 months ago. I came out of semi-retirement. And the reason I came to Shafter because I think it's a great community. There's a great potential for bringing businesses to the city that will uplift the standard of living and help serve the people of Shafter better. And this project will definitely have an adverse impact on what we plan in terms of strategy for economic development for Shafter. We would lose our position in Kern County as the most business-friendly, safest city with great potential for bringing good businesses to the city. Now, I want to leave you with some thoughts about transportation mega projects that we've seen in this country that had adverse impact on people in their community. And I'm going to bring you some examples that go back, a few decades. Sugar Hill in Los Angeles, I-10 cut across that community and it devastated that community. And that community, by the way, was predominantly African-American. Boyle Heights in Los Angeles, again, this is a community that was ethnically diverse, neighborhood in LA, home to Jewish, Japanese, and Latino communities. The freeway destroyed a lot of homes and it displaced residents and a lot of businesses had, collapsed. There are other examples. So we need to take that into consideration in terms of the long-term impact on the folks who live in Shafter and make it home. And so I leave you with that thought. My recommendation is that we need to make a very detailed assessment on the economic impact now and also in the future for the city.
Thank you, Kamal. Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for that. Council, I'm going to leave it up to you all to have some conversation with it. I do want to point out one thing. There were a lot of comments on the who, what's, where kind of concept. I mean, we say this correctly. High Speed Rail's board, I believe, is made up of 9 members who are appointed by the state, 2 of which are appointed by your House, 2 of which by your Senate, and 5 of which are appointed by your governor, if I have this said correctly. And so if you really want to understand how this operates, it's more than what's happening at your local level. It is your state level. If you do not like it, you should think about who you vote for and put into the state side of things. So this is something that you should consider when you're looking at this of where the ramifications come from. And for the folks here in the room, HSR, thank you for your presentation today. We also recognize you're not the ones who have created the decision. You're the ones trying to run through and figure out how to make this work. I recognize that, right? But at the same time, you're hearing from a community who did not want this to begin with, and as you hear tonight, still doesn't want it. And the responsibility for the council is to figure out what makes sense. And so I'm going to let council speak if you guys have any comments or questions to it. Otherwise, we can have a discussion about what we would like to see moving forward. Council, any questions in regards to this? Go ahead, sir.
Well, my name's Pete Espinoza. My family moved to Shafter in 1966. So I've been born, raised, grew up here, went to school here. I've met a lot of people in town. I've coached youth football for 23 years, coaching the sons of the first players that I started coaching. I enjoy going to the football games and watching them play at the high school level. It's just been one of the biggest joys of my life. I married my wife. She's from the city of Shafter. She was born in Wasco, and then she grew up in Shafter. We just opened up a small business, and we started in July 19th, if I believe the date's right. And it was like a 5-year conversation point as to whether we wanted to do it or not. And so we finally came up to the decision to open up a small shop, pack and ship store. And we just the thing that I didn't realize when we were looking is we were driving around the city looking for a building to put a business in Shafter. There was none available. Every building was filled up. And just by chance, we heard about the building where we're at right now at 217 Central, that it was going to be available for rent. So I knew the owner, so I contacted him and he goes, yeah. He goes, we can rent it to you. Looking at one of your illustrations that you showed, your tunnel is going to come out 1.5 blocks past us for the Main Street underpass. I don't see how that's going to benefit anybody. I mean, the thing about it is the promises that have been made and the statements that have been made and the amounts that have been said it was going to cost. There's not anything that you're saying that has stood the test of time. And then you're coming right through the middle of a 100-year-old town plus, and you're just going to rip it up. And it doesn't benefit anybody here. It doesn't stop here. It's just going to go right through the gut of town. And some of the comments that you made when you were talking, and I don't know what your name was, but you were talking about the positive impact. I didn't hear not one positive thing tonight. So that's from people who live here, who work here, who've grown up here, who live here. And like Mr. Loaiza said, we're probably going to end up in that cemetery out there. The other thing is the expectations. You said you were looking to satisfy the expectations of Shafter. I didn't hear anybody's expectations being fulfilled tonight. So you're talking about overpasses, you're talking about underpasses, you're talking about raised elevations. I don't see how any of that prospers for the benefit of Shafter. Not one bit. I mean, if it's so much trouble to cut right through the middle of something, you think you could find an ulterior route where it goes around population centers. This city's functioning without the help of government help and without the help from the county. We're functioning on our own. We built a brand new little city out on 7th Standard. We didn't ask for any help. We're doing things that other people, I've been on the council since November of 2020. And all I hear is how good we're doing it in Shafter and how everybody wants to emulate us and how everybody's just got their eye on the shiny little city on the hill. And you want to put a train that's going to be going 200 miles an hour right through the middle of it. Doesn't make any sense to me. And I didn't hear anything that changed my mind at all tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Alvarado, I believe you had something you want to add?
I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to make a comment here. I just wanted to know, I see that we're all here today, and I was just wondering is the next step will be, is Bakersfield going to have some changes? That's just a question right now. Is the city of Bakersfield are going to go through some changes, or is you going to have a town hall meeting and perhaps some changes going to be done in Bakersfield? That's just a question. For the most part, I've heard a lot of comments, and it's very exciting to see the whole town come out and share their concerns and show support in our community that this is not what they want. You know, my only comment was the people have spoken, and I believe that what they've said is even Ron had brought up a suggestion, maybe from Merced, go I don't know, was that go east and get the 99, get the 99 from there and just bypass the whole town. And I don't know if that's possible, but that probably sounds like a good idea. I just want to share that. Everything that you presented today definitely doesn't support. I see a lot of devastation. I see devastation in Shafter Avenue and West Tulare, and I do see devastation on Lerdo and 43 with the businesses, and the one on Shafter Avenue and West Tulare going around a church, and who knows what else is going to be affected there. I don't know. There's apartments there, so there's a lot of questions just based on this little map here that I have in front of me. But I just think if we have to make a decision or something, I think go back to the original one that was proposed in 2018. So, but I don't want to spend a lot of time, but that's all I have to say. Thank you for the opportunity, Council.
You have something, Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, thank you. First of all, thanks everybody that came out and for all your comments. You know, I hear you. I concur with everything that was said here tonight. When we first received this report, I took a look at it and I read it. I probably went through it about 5 times trying to figure out, okay, what's going to be beneficial to our community and our city as it's being proposed. And I could not find anything. Trying to look on the, you know, from a different perspective, trying to see, hey, how can we work together to figure this out? But quite frankly, with those proposals, it's not going to work. You're destroying our city. You're destroying our jobs. You're destroying our businesses. Everything. You know, the impact in our students, our children, everything in this community. And I think in a respectful way, I think you need to go back and repropose something that's going to work for our city, or go back to what was agreed to in 2018. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Councilmember, Ms. Prout, go ahead.
Yes, as you know, we had a meeting last month with the high-speed rail, and they were coming to present to us the plan that they put up here. It was very difficult even for me, or I believe our staff that had to put a lot of time in to understand what they were going to even present to us. And they really wanted to present to us a new plan because they are a new group of people. And I can tell you that the agreement we have, in my estimation, still holds. And yet I can tell you that plan isn't acceptable. It's not acceptable. And several of us have talked about that even years ago when we decided that we were going to have this wall put up. The wall, or what they call it, infill, because it's going to be built up with dirt that's going to be hauled in, was the best option that we could come up with that would allow traffic to go from east to west. And so then when the proposal came forth now with this group saying that they wanted to open the agreement and make these changes, I can tell you that and they all know it, I was there with our staff. And I told them it wasn't going to work because I knew people didn't support the train coming through town. But we voted on that years ago, and we've been working with them, and we've had our staff try to be prepared to implement even what we agreed on. So then what happens to our agreement? I mean, they're not going to change the whole thing, but the main part is this wall that's going to go up there. So, I mean, we're going to have to be open to have some discussion to see if we can make some changes, because I notified them that I knew there was nobody that was in favor of this project. And for the future, for California, I can't deny the fact that we need to have transportation to get around in our state. See, I knew nobody wanted to hear that, or some wouldn't want to hear that, but you've got to think about when you're not here and the future of the city, when you compare it to other countries and you compare it to our own world. All right, wait a minute. Let me speak. I didn't interrupt when you were speaking. And I'm telling you, we've got to come up with a solution for the future. The solution isn't going to go away. It's not going away. That's why I almost didn't speak tonight, because I know you don't want to hear that. But that's been our vision. That's been our plan when I got started years ago in this, as to what our future was for our city, for our valley, for our state. And I can tell you the direction we're going isn't what I thought was going to happen. It wasn't what I thought the people were even going to want to get involved in. But you know what? It's an issue that we have to deal with, and we're going to have to make some decisions. And really, the input that you brought tonight just shows us on the council, and shows our staff, and it shows the people that are representing the high-speed rail. There are issues. They didn't come right up here and tell you that there were issues that they were going to have to acquire as a new authority group. And yet they've got a job to do too. So I don't know what the plan is. I can tell you that on the telephone, I even mentioned to one of them, you come up with an option that doesn't just tear our town apart. Because I think they heard it tonight. They know what I'm talking about. And we have to be patient. You've asked us to be fighting for it. Hey, we've tried to do that before, and we're going to continue to do that. And it's most important that we all partner together. We all hang in there together. It'll come out for the best for the future.
Thank you, Councilmember. I do want to ask a question. I'm going to piggyback off of what Councilmember Alvarado said. Are there any changes proposed to the original settlement for any other city? I would like to know if we are the only ones being requested to have modifications done to it. That's a question, not rhetorical. Sorry, we are recording online, so if you can repeat that, please.
We are talking to the county of Kern on what was proposed in that settlement around 7th Standard Road. And in terms of within the city of Bakersfield itself, we are looking at an alternative, but may not impact what's in the settlement agreement with Bakersfield.
As far as cities are concerned, how many other cities are actually being impacted? And I say it in a manner that says, out of all of the cities you have crossed through without a depot, how many have actually been cut through the center of their city?
In the valley.
Period. Example, Wasco is on the east side of the city limits. They are not being impacted directly in the center. However, Fresno is being impacted through their city, yet they are receiving a station. So minus the stations, are there any other locations that are being impacted in this manner?
Not that I can recall.
And then the reason that we are opening up, or you guys are requesting to reopen the settlement agreement that was negotiated based on a lawsuit. Yes, City of Shafter was involved with that, and it was due to the environmental process that was being forced through. Why are we renegotiating this?
What we're proposing is, in terms of what's in the settlement agreement, as I had mentioned, was building everything on retained fill. And we'd like to work with the city to see if there are other opportunities to be able to not build on retained fill, but still be able to provide the grade crossings as identified in the settlement agreement.
But what was the reason for doing that?
For opening,
I'm pushing the wrong button, I'm sorry. Why are we having this conversation?
because as I had mentioned, the impacts during construction, being able to raise up both of the.
No, we knew the impacts coming into it. My question isn't in regards to impacts of construction and the fill and the timeline. There's a settlement agreement for a reason. So is the reason that we're talking about the settlement agreement financials?
Well, it's all of that, the time, the dollars, the impacts, the mitigation. So it's not just about dollars, it's all of it together.
And for our city attorney, thank you. For city attorney, I believe the original attorney who went through this is on Zoom. Now, I'm not asking him to speak, but looking at you, Marco, in regards to that settlement agreement, is this something that they're actually able to open up?
Yeah.
Yes, on microphone.
Thank you, Mayor. One of the original attorneys that worked on this matter is on the Zoom call listening and taking notes. But as you mentioned, there is a settlement agreement between High Speed Rail Authority and the city of Shafter. It was negotiated in 2018, and it was as a result of a lawsuit that was filed by the city of Shafter relating to CEQA arguments. And so there is a provision in the settlement agreement that in essence says that the city would drop its lawsuit if High Speed Rail pursued the alternative that was negotiated. There are other provisions that basically say that the city that there is no deal at that point if there is a change. That's why I believe High Speed Rail is here to try to convince the city to consider other alternatives, specifically the alternative that they came with today.
Thank you for that clarification. I'm going to wait for you to turn. There you go. So in regards to, I'm going to look to you on this one more time. So in regards to the negotiations, if this is a conversation where we can reopen this and have negotiations, does that also mean that we can have conversations about this not crossing through the city and immediately turning east where it's sitting at right now on the Kern County line? If you guys are willing to negotiate that, then we should be able to have the conversations about it just not crossing through, period. Is that correct? No? Because if we're willing to renegotiate a settlement agreement because of a lawsuit you did not want to go through, should we not then be able to have the same conversation about just not coming through the city of Shafter? And I think Shafter as a whole would be willing to work with you, extending an olive branch, if that makes sense, to find a way or a solution to go around the city. Because of all the cities that have been impacted by HSR, none of them are being impacted to the degree that we are. And the ones that have been, I'm going to use Fresno as a prime example, the mountains of concrete that are still sitting in the air today. they are going to financially benefit through some type of station. So for them, they were okay with going down this road. It just doesn't feel like there's any benefit from the city economically. There's no benefit from the city for our residents and the growth. By the way, one of the 5 fastest growing cities in the state of California. We are very business friendly and we want to maintain the business friendly mindset, but it doesn't feel like we're getting the same thing back to us. I believe we would be willing to have the conversations about finding ways around the city if you were willing to have those conversations with us. By the way, for the last 7 years, we've had that conversation. There are alternatives, and I believe many people in the room today have land that you need the alternatives with and would be willing to have the same conversations if you're wanting to go down that road. So if you're willing to renegotiate a settlement agreement, I presume we should be able to do the same thing here, correct? Okay. With that said, at this point, council, the vote is sitting in front of us. I'm going to read the recommendation for the evening, and I'm going to ask for a few different things here. The recommendation in front of us is that we would direct staff to enter into no modification of the agreement and take any necessary action to ensure compliance with the terms from the 2018 settlement agreement between the city of Shafter and the California High-Speed Rail. So your council vote tonight of yes would actually indicate that you do not want to change the agreement and maintain what was in 2018. However, I'm going to make a request that we would have a conversation with High Speed Rail and be willing to renegotiate the settlement agreement and find a way to move eastwardly outside of the city limits to not impact the residents and the businesses in a rural disadvantaged community known as Shafter. And on that note, I guess I'm going to have to hear from my attorney. Hi, sir.
So just to clarify, this would be direction to staff to work with High Speed Rail Authority to consider other alternatives that do not bisect the city and move the route eastward.
Yes, sir. And you said that in a microphone, so it's recorded, so I don't have to say it again. I appreciate that. If that fails, then obviously we would stand against with our settlement agreement. That's what I'm going to make a request for tonight. And if that be the case, I'll make the first motion for that.
Second.
All third.
I'll second it. I didn't say I opposed the train. I didn't say that I opposed where we're gonna put it. We are just gonna have to have it somewhere. I mean, it has to happen somewhere. Yeah. go ahead.
So for clarification, the one that is being requested is that we would direct staff to go back to High Speed Rail and have a conversation about an alternate route that would take us immediately eastwardly. Again, city attorney said it much better than I did. Thank you, sir. I have a motion by myself and a second by Councilmember Prout on having new renegotiations on that.
I say yes and call it the Ron Pierce bypass east.
I need a roll call vote on that, please.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Prout,
Yes.
Olvera,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Givens.
Yes, thank you very much. With that said, we have nothing else on the docket for tonight's management reports, and I appreciate everybody coming out tonight to voice your opinion. I need a motion and a second to carry for adjournment, please.
Second.
I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Olvera, second by Councilmember Prout. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Same sign opposed, hearing none, 5-0. Thank you.